I forgot to mention to before watching this video or afterwards, which I doubt you're gonna remember by the end of the video. So I'm gonna post this message again at the end of the video to remind you um, that if possible, before you watch this video, or you just watch this and then watch it afterwards, but preferably before you watch this video, if you would watch these two videos on my channel. The first one is called Proving God's Existence by Reasoning from Life. I'm gonna post the links to both videos in the under this video. Again, that's Proving God's Existence by Reasoning from Life, and the other one is Exercise Faith in God. So yeah, I'm gonna post this again at the end of the video. So go ahead, start. You're sitting down in your living room, in your bedroom, on the train, in your car. You're watching people, looking at them, you're observing them. You know, if you're at home, maybe your daughter or your son or your girlfriend or your wife or your husband, your grandmother, sitting down. They're on their phone or they're watching TV. As a matter of fact, right now, if you're at home and you're next to somebody, look at them, just stare at them. If there's someone next to you, get up, go to the window, go wherever you can real quick and see if it's possible, to see if you find anybody walking around or staying idle. And you watch them, you watch them. They're not doing anything. They're watching TV, for example. And maybe they begin to smile or they have an intense face. They're, focused on what they're looking at. That person is physical. The person is physical, right? You see the flesh, right? There are parts of them that you don't see, like the blood, right? The organs, you don't see, but you see the flesh. I mean, you know the organs are there, right? Everybody knows that. But there's something about the person you're looking at that you just can never see. They have emotions. They have thoughts running through their head right now. They have a conscience. They have feelings that are being brought up right now, but you don't see them. You don't see that emotional content. You don't see that part of the physical, but it's not really physical because you can't see it. And no matter how much you cut them into pieces, I don't want to, your loved one, I'm talking about cutting them into pieces, but even if you cut them into pieces, you would never find that consciousness. You would never find that essence of what makes them human. Now that essence that makes them human is not the brain, because the rabbit has a brain. The dog has a brain. The shark has a brain. Every living organism pretty much has a brain. They have a heart. But the heart is not what produces the consciousness. But the person you're looking at, they have every single organ that a living non-human also has. But yet there is something about your companion that you're looking at, or the person in the street, there's something about them that makes them different than the dog or the cat. They're a different kind of creature. But that thing that separates them is their conscience. They know they're alive. They know they are who they are. They know their name. They ask themselves questions like, why am I here? That part, that's that essence. Or I should say, that's the essence of who they are. The fact that they can ask themselves those type of questions. So you're looking at them and you're like, why are you so different than the dog? The dog, the monkey, has the same thing you have. Every form of monkey has the same thing you have. But yet, it is not the organs that makes you conscious. It's not the organs that produces your emotions, right? That makes you cry, or makes you want to go and hug, or makes you utter your thoughts and speak what you're feeling inside. There is something about you. There is something about that person you're looking at that makes them who they are, but it's not because of the physical part of what they have. Because if it's the physical part of what they have, then the dog should be the same thing too. The monkey should be the same thing too. The rabbit should be the same thing. The bird should be the same thing. But clearly they're not. So it's not the physical thing that makes them who they are. It is not the mind. It is not the heart. It is not the kidneys. It's not the liver. It's not the skin. It's not the blood. It's not the teeth. It's not anything. It's not the hair. There is something about them that transcends the physical. So there's something about them, even though they're skin, they have skin. You're looking at their flesh. You see them. They're looking at their phone. They're looking at the TV. But they're thinking. They know who they are. You ask them a question right now, they say, what was that? Tell me again. But a dog, no other creature can ever do that. They can think deep thoughts about why they are here. The very creature you're looking at that can speak their thoughts to you and express their emotion to you through their mouth is the same creature that also asks questions such as, why am I here? Why is it that the creature that has that sense of consciousness that can speak to you, why is it that that's the creature, the only creature that asks questions such as, what is the purpose of me being here? There is something about them that you cannot see. Now, that image of the essence of who they are, that is the image that God speaks of when he says, let us make man in our image. It is not an image as in hands and feet and eyes and nose and, right? No, because the monkey has the same thing, but the monkey is not made in the image of God. So when we talk about the image, it is about something that transcends the physical brain and the heart and the kidneys and the spleen, right? And the pancreas and the skin. It's something, the image of God that God has put within us is the image that you cannot see. It is not the image that you can see. Now let me explain something to you. Before I get to that image, okay, you can't see it, as I've explained. It's something that transcends the physical. You will never see it. But that person has something within them that even though you cannot see it, you know it is there. From their hands, if an artist produces an artwork and puts it on the canvas, you see their emotional content. You see who they are, the essence of who they are through the works of their hands. So when you look at that painting, you see what the painter is like. When you see a building, you know what the building is like based on how he made the building. Right? So the part of them that you cannot see, that cannot be explained through the fact that they have a brain or a heart, because animals have the same thing. That part that you cannot see, that cannot be explained by organs, is expressed through the works of their hands. You see that invisible aspect of them. You see that image that is invisible, right? But now that invisible aspect of them is way more important, much more important than the physical. Because that invisible aspect of them is not in the monkey, and it's not in the rabbit, and it's not in any other living creature except him. Which is what makes him unique. Which is why he's the only creature that stands up tall, upright, and walks. That is why he is the way he is. And that image is more important than the physical. Because animals are also physical, but they don't have that image. Now, this is what I was going to tell you. That image that's invisible. Invisible things are more alive than physical things. Let me give you an example. When you pick up your phone and you call halfway around the world to the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico or Haiti or Ghana or Egypt, right, or Albania, wherever you call, there are lines that you cannot see, but it is the reason why you can make that call. But no one says, I can't see it, I can't feel it, so it doesn't exist. No. That would be stupid. That would be foolish. Back in the time of ignorance, when we didn't know that we could do that, you would be excused to say that you couldn't do it. You would be wrong, but you'll be excused because no one knew that was possible. But today, if you say, I can't see those invisible wires that allows me to transmit calls to the satellite and then go to Ghana. In a split second, less than a second, you reach someone halfway around the world. But that is not through visible wires, it is through what is invisible, things you cannot see. And it was only through knowing that there are things that the naked eye cannot see that man was able to transcend their capabilities, which was just talking to a person right next to them. Now they can call someone halfway around the world. But now that, in those invisible wires that allows you to make calls halfway around the world and a whole bunch of myriad of other things, save infinite amount of information on their website, right? On Google and wherever, there's infinite, you can upload videos to YouTube. It'll never get full because it is something that is not physically contained in a physical item, but transcends the physical. Now that object, that invisible thing that allows you to make those calls and save an infinite amount of data, that item, can you cut it with a cord? Can you hold it with your hand? Can you destroy it with a natural disaster? Can any natural disaster ever destroy it? No. Now, was that invisible thing, was it here before it was discovered by man? Of course it was. And when man discovered it, they began to make use of it. After we die, will it still be here? Of course it will be here. Now, what about the wires that you can see? Can you cut that with a cord? Of course you can. Can a natural disaster blow it out of place and destroy it? Of course, because it's physical. When something is physical, it is not as important as that which you cannot see. When something is physical, it is corruptible. It can be contaminated. It is not pure. It is not as clean or as holy, and it can be dirty. It is not as pure and as clean as that which is invisible, as that which the naked eyes cannot see. So that which is invisible is more everlasting, is more infinite, and more durable, and more alive than that which you can see with your naked eyes. But how do we know that those invisible lines exist? Because of the things it produces. We know it exists because when you pick up that phone and call someone in Ghana, they pick up. It's not something in your imagination, it's physical. But the item that you use to make that call transcends the physical. In fact, it is physical, but you just cannot see it. So to conclude that because you cannot see something, it means it doesn't exist is foolish. And to think that that which you can see is more important and more real than that which you cannot see is nothing short of foolishness. That's what a child would think. A person who's uneducated, a person who lived in the 1800s would think that way because they're not as advanced. They're ignorant, literally, they're ignorant of what's around them because they cannot see with their naked eyes, so they conclude there is nothing there. But there is more that you cannot see than there is that which you can see. There is more that you cannot see than there is that which you can see. And that which you can see can be destroyed. That which you cannot see cannot be destroyed. You cannot hold it, but it is there. When you look at your companion or the person that's walking in the street, or as you're sitting on the train and you observe someone, you watch them, they're not saying anything, they're quiet. But there is something about them that transcends the physical. And that which transcends the physical is within them, but it's not within any other living organism. It's not within the dog. So it can't be something that comes about because of the brain, because the dog has the brain too. It's something that transcends the physical, that is not there because of the physical aspect of them. It is something else that's causing them to have it. Now that part of them that you cannot see, if it did not come from the physical part of what they have, if it does not come from anything on them that's producing it, then how did they come to have it? Who put it in them? Why are they the only ones who can speak and utter their thoughts, but yet at the same time say things like, why am I here? That invisible part of them, that image of them, again, what you cannot see is more real, more everlasting, and more pure and more incorruptible than that which can be seen. So when they were made, whoever or whatever caused them to have that image within them must also be the same as that image which you cannot see. That image that you cannot see is exactly what God is. God is that image within the person. The only difference is God is much bigger than the person you're looking at. He fills the universe. In fact, the universe is within him. He doesn't fill the universe. He transcends the universe. He is that big. He is everywhere. It isn't like he needs to be here and there and there and there and there. No. If the universe is within God, God is everywhere within the universe. That image within that person that makes them who they are, that transcends the physical, which is why they are not like the monkey or the dog, that image is what God is, except God is not covered in flesh. If you want to see God, then you would have to be able to see the emotional content, the spirit, the consciousness of your companion, of your friend, of your neighbor, of the person you're looking at right now. You cannot observe that image of the person that makes them transcend the physical. So you cannot observe God. Now the other word for that which is invisible is spirit. It is the term that we use because it makes it a lot more easier to understand. Spirit. So a man has three parts. He's physical, he has a soul, and he has a spirit. Animals have the same thing too. But there is something that transcends the physical. The flesh is this. The soul, the Bible says, the soul is within the blood of the creature. So as you're bleeding out, the more of your soul you lose. Eventually you die. The more blood you have, the more soul you have, the more vitality, strength you have. The soul of the creature is within the blood. But the spirit is not produced by anything physical that the man has or the woman has. The spirit is given him by someone. That spirit is the image of the person who gave him. Now, if that image, if that spirit cannot be physically observed, just as you cannot cut the wire that allows you to make calls halfway around the world, that spirit cannot be observed, but it is more alive than the individual that you see. That spirit is more alive than the individual that you see. That wire that you can see and cut is not more alive or more everlasting or more pure than that which you cannot see and cannot cut with a wire. But it has been here before we came and will continue to be here after we die. God is a spirit. He doesn't have a spirit. We have spirit. But God is a spirit. So you cannot see him. If God was to cover himself with flesh, like he covered the spirits on earth, humans, with flesh, then of course you can see him. But to be covered in flesh makes you corruptible, makes you impure. You can die. Right? But God is outside of the physical. He is spirit. Has God shown himself in a man's form before? I believe he's done it at least once, according to the Bible. Whether he's done that more than that, I don't know. But what I could say is I feel like he has done it at least once. When Abraham received the 3 visitors, he went and prostrated himself to the earth, to one of the men who was in the middle, and he called him Yehowah or Jehovah. So, and then obviously Abraham was walking with Jehovah, and he was asking Jehovah questions, right? What if you find 40 righteous men in Sodom and Gomorrah? Will you destroy the whole? And then Jehovah said, no, I will not. So he was conversing face to face with Jehovah, with God. So God can take a part of his essence, his spirit, his invisibleness. He can bring it on the earth and cover it with flesh so that Abraham can see him. But if Yehowah is here, he's everywhere, you will not see him. So when the Bible says that God did this with his hands, he doesn't literally have hands. But by saying hands, it's in a way for you to understand that God is powerful and can do things. Not necessarily with physical hands. but he can do things. He's a spirit, but he can do things. God doesn't have a mouth, but he can speak. However means he uses to speak, whether it is from the center of his being that he speaks, we do not know, but God can speak. So the Bible says God has a beautiful arm. Not necessarily saying he has a physical arm, but it's another way of saying that God is strong. God is beautiful. If we were ever to see him, he's beautiful, which is why he makes beautiful things. Through the works of his hands, you can see that he is there. And that which is invisible is more alive and more real than that which is visible. That's that image of men and women that God has made to put within them, or that God has put within them after he made them. Whether he gave them the spirit first and then covered it in flesh, or whether he made the flesh first and then put the spirit within them, we don't know. Or perhaps the spirit came after because God blew into their nostrils the breath of life and it became a living soul. Right? So Adam was a dead soul and became a living soul after God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So without the breath of life from God, Adam is literally just dead. But that spiritual aspect, that image of humans, is what produces the emotional content of humans. Anger, love, kindness, compassion, humility. This is what God is. God does not have those things because his very essence is the spirit, which he has put in man. He is the spirit, which he has put in man, which is why those things cannot be seen, but you know it's there because of the works that it produces, because of what the man says or the woman says, because of their actions, because of what their hands produce. You can contemplate, you can see without seeing the spiritual nature, the image of that individual. God is a spirit. John, the same person who said that God is a spirit, also said God is love. He doesn't have love. He is the expression of love. He is love. Men, humans, produce love. We have it, we produce it, but we are not the essence of what love is. We are not literally spirits, but we have spirit. We have a spirit within us. So if a person is not exhibiting that spirit nature of his creator, then why is he here? You should not exist. That is why God has every right to take a person's life or to give a person life and can do whatever he pleases. Yehowah says, "Do I not fill heaven and earth?" Is the utterance of Yehowah. Do I not fill heaven and earth? He fills it. When you fill a cup with water, the water is everywhere. There is no part of that cup that the water isn't a part of. God fills the universe and earth. Earth is. So God is everywhere. God cannot die. He is outside of the physical. He is outside of time. He transcends it. God is a spirit. He's here. He's everywhere. But this spirit has a conscience. It speaks. And he decided to create physical beings and put his very essence within them so that they too can speak. Which is why they can speak and at the same time ask themselves questions like, why am I here? Because God has made us in a way where we cannot see him, but we know he is there because of what he has produced by the means of his hands. We know that communication wire exists even though we cannot see it. We know it exists because we can pick up the phone call and send it to someone. I can finish recording this video and send it to someone in Ghana. How is that possible? What physical thing is it going through to get to somebody all the way in Ghana? And that physical thing cannot be cut with a wire. It cannot be destroyed. It is more pure and incorruptible and more everlasting and more alive, if you will, than that which can be cut with a wire or with a wire that can be cut with a scissor. Phone's almost full. I'm gonna make the second half later. Actually, let me continue talking, and wherever it cuts off, it'll cut off. Because I want you to stick with me on this one. So God is not covered in flesh, so you cannot see him. But he is there. He is there. Nothing cannot make something. Something makes something. Nothing makes nothing. If a living organism begins to evolve, how did it come to live? Who prompted it to live? How did it know what to give itself life? What was its food? How did it know what to eat? How did it know what was good for food? What came first? The heart, the brain, the skin, the teeth, the endocrine system, the muscular system? What came first? The circulatory system? The respiratory system? What came first? All these things need to be there simultaneously for life to even begin to function in its most basic form. To say that there is no God is as ignorant as someone in the 1500s saying it is impossible to make a phone call through invisible wires to someone halfway around the world, simply because you cannot see it. But you know it can be done, and so that's how you know it's there. Based on the things that you see, you know there is a God. My mouth is not in the back of my head. My ears are not disproportionate, okay? There is beauty in the way we've been put together. Tells you that there is a designer, there is a creator. From nothing, nothing comes. But from something, something comes, and many things can come from something. But the one who made us is a spirit. And that spirit is within your friend, is within you. You cannot see it, neither can your friend. But it is there. It is not in the dog, but it is in you. And you cannot see it. And even the animals have a part of them that is also spiritual that you cannot see, which is why dogs can cry. They have emotions too. But they were not made in the image of God because, or should I say, they were made with a percentage of God's essence. But man has been given the full essence of God's image. Which is why we have a need, a desire to worship something that transcends us. Because God has put that within us. Why has God made us this way where we cannot see him? You have to understand that of all the emotions, of all the qualities that exist in the universe, there is one that was lacking until man was made. There is one that was lacking until man was made. The angels, God made the angels in heaven way before he made man. Now these angels are in his image, but they are not covered in flesh, so they too are invisible, but they are his sons because they are invisible. They are sons of their Father who is also invisible. Alive, functioning, like the wire that allows you to make phone calls. They are alive and functioning more alive than we are because we can die. We function through blood. That wire that you use to call someone halfway around the world, what is its essence? What causes it to be alive? Even though you can't see it, something invisible, I can't cut it, but it's there. What causes it to be? We can't think of that, but it's there. What causes the angels to live? We can't think that far, but they are there. God is there. They are invisible because of God. But now they can see God. They can see God. So they have love, they have empathy, they have feeling, they have emotions, right? They have anger, they have all of that, competitive spirit, whatever, they have all of that. But there is something that they can never express because they see God all the time. What is that? Faith. Faith is the only quality, emotion, or thing, for lack of a better term, that was missing in the universe until man was made. Now that man has been made, faith can be expressed. If man was never made, faith could never, ever be expressed. But faith pleases God so much that the Bible says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. It is impossible to please God. So if a person, although he cannot see God, knows strongly that God is there, God will show his power in that person's behalf more than you would ever know. And I'm a testament to that. In my own life, I would love to brag about it. But this video is not about me. It's about Abba, our Father. He is there. And a side thing for you to think about, and it's not my intention to give any sort of attention to the devil and the demons. But how do you think demons, or how do you think magic works? Now you would say, oh, some of it is for show, some of it is trickery. Yeah, of course, some of them are tricks. Some of them are tricks, but there are some that are just simply not tricks. How do you explain that? A magician comes to the stage and he has hands just like you and I, but from this very hand, hundreds of cards come out. How do you explain that? I'm holding a bottle of alcohol or whatever, and the magician is right there, and I know what I bought. There's nothing in it, and he throws a card at my bottle, and the card ends up in my bottle with my name in it. How do you explain that? There is more that you cannot see that's alive than that which you can see. Just because you cannot see with your physical eyes does not mean it is not there. You see it with your eyes, but yet you still deny it that there's something causing it to happen. Why are we so ignorant? Why are we so faithless? Like our Master Christ said, oh, how much longer should I put up with you, you of little faith? How many times did Christ perform miracles and yet people still doubted? That is the nature of man. A person can go through something extremely spiritual today. Next week, they will forget about it. This is why Christ said, exercise faith above all things. Exercise faith. If you do not exercise faith, you will be as if one who never had faith in the first place. It's like muscle. The less you use it, the weaker it becomes and it atrophies. Eventually, you won't even have that muscle anymore. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And eventually, it'll be as if you can see God and feel Him. God did not make us to see Him, but He has given us every proof that He is there. And it is only to those who have searched for Him who finds Him. And God does wonderful things in their life, things that you know it's Him. And I have a lot of stories, some of which I've already posted on YouTube, but I'm not even going to get into that because God is there and you have to look for Him. Look for Him. Search for Him. And He Himself will let you find Him. He will let you find Him, but you have to look for Him. I can speak to you because of Him. I cannot make myself speak. Actually, I can. I can because I'm talking to you because I'm willing myself to speak to you. But I cannot give myself that ability. Someone gave it to me and now I'm making use of it. And with that very ability, I will use it every single day of my life to give glory to the one who caused me to be able to do what I'm doing right now. Speak. And I'll end it at that. So again, to help you to fully understand, when you think about Yehowah, or Jehovah, Elohim, God, remember that nature within you that everybody else has that cannot be seen. But it is the very essence of who you are. The very essence of who you are is exactly that which you can never see. That is what God is. You cannot see Him, just as much as you cannot see the thing that makes you who you really are, that causes you to know that you are who you are. Yes, I'm Samuel. Yes, I'm Jeremiah. Yes, I'm Jessica. Yes, I'm Elizabeth. The dog cannot say that because that image of God is not within him or within her, that dog, that animal, whatever it is, or that monkey. But it's within you, your relatives, everyone that has ever lived on this earth. That is what God is. So when you think of God, remember that he is not someone that you actually can see, but he is there. Okay? So try to make it possible in your mind to conclude, to understand that, or make it a possibility in your mind that, okay, maybe there is a being there that is just like my friend who has that thing within them that I cannot see, but that thing within them is what makes him Jeremiah. It's what makes her Jessica. It is not the physical, because the monkey has it, but the monkey is not like Jessica. Jessica is Jessica because of something within her. Samuel is like Samuel because of something within him. Jeremiah is like Jeremiah because of something within him. God is that. So if you were to remove the physical of Jessica and her blood and all her organs and all of that, whatever is remaining of Jessica is what God is. Whatever is remaining of Adam and Jeremiah and Samuel and Ezekiel, that's what God is. But God is a giant, to say the least. God is consciousness. There is nothing that can be taught to God. God never asked a question on how something should be done. God already knew the answer. Which is why everything is perfect. Everything is beautiful. And when something is ugly, you don't like it because, no, I want something beautiful. Yeah? When something ain't right, when the skin is diseased and looks disgusting, when the teeth are not shaped correctly, you want to get braces to fix it. Huh? That's a defect. But the person without the defect has nice teeth. And it looks pleasant. God doesn't make mistakes. But because of man's errors, we have caused defects within our own genetics. When a brother and a sister sleeps together, in today's age, causes defects. When a person does drugs, the child is born, causes defects. When you live by a factory and you keep inhaling toxins, causes defects in your children. All defects are because of men's errors. It is not because of God's errors. So when you think of God, remember, it is like looking at your friend and remembering that your friend's invisibleness is what makes them who they really are. And that invisibleness is what God is, except God is not covered in flesh. And that's why I cannot see him. Okay, big deal. He's not covered in flesh, so I can't see him. Okay, but he's there. Don't make it a big deal that because you cannot see him, so he's not there. No, accept the fact that you cannot see him, but he is there. And look for him and watch him prove to you that he is there. Watch him prove to you that he is there. The eyes are where they're supposed to be, and they're beautiful exactly where they are. A beard. Just look at your friend's face. Look at their body. Look at the dog. Look at how everything is perfectly well put together. And the very creature that can speak is the same creature that can question themselves and think deeply about why they are here. Why is it that they are the ones that can do that? Is it not because they are the ones who are in the image of the one who is invisible, who fills heaven and earth? I'm going to post a couple scriptures that you're going to read. And when you read it, now that you have this newfound understanding of who God is and what he is like, these scriptures now would make a whole lot more sense to you. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. John 4:28. But he said, what is impossible with men is possible with God. Luke 18:27. But Yehowah said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For Yehowah sees not as men sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but Yehowah looks at the inner man. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. Here, a commentary says, the invisible part of man that humans cannot see, but is there and can be expressed at times through actions, is what God sees. But man cannot see this. Only God. All the ways of man are pure in his own eyes, but Yehowah weighs the spirit, because he is a spirit. Actually, let me read that part again, because that's a commentary. All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but Yehowah weighs the spirit. Proverbs 16 verse 2. The commentary says, because he is the spirit. Do not judge by appearances. John 7 verse 24. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. 1 Peter 3 verse 4. Charm is deceptive and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears the Lord, or a woman who fears Yehowah, will be greatly praised. Proverbs 31 verse 30. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible. Colossians 1:16. And no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked and exposed to the eyes of whom? To the eyes of him to whom we must give an account. Hebrews 4:13. God is not man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. He has said, and will he not do it? He has spoken, will he not fulfill it? Numbers 23:19. For the eyes of Yehowah constantly search throughout the whole entire earth to show his strength in behalf of those whose hearts are complete towards him. 2 Chronicles 16 verse 9. His pleasure is not in the strength of the horse. He takes no pleasure in the leg power of the man. No, Yehowah's delight is in those who fear him, those who put their hope in his unfailing love. Psalms 147 verse 10 and 11. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. Even those dead are constantly before the eyes of Yehowah. How much more so then are those who are alive? Proverbs 15:11. That they may know that you alone, whose name is Yehowah, are the most high over all the earth. Psalms 83:18. Hear, O Israel, Yehowah our God is one Yehowah. Deuteronomy 6 verse 4. To you it was shown that you might know that Yehowah is God. There is no other beside him. Deuteronomy 4 verse 35. You believe that God is one? You do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. James 2:19. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Yehowah is the everlasting God, the creator of the heavens and of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding is unsearchable. Isaiah 40 verse 28. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. Isaiah 46 verse 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yehowah. For just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Isaiah 55 verse 8 and 9. Yehowah by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. Proverbs 3:19. To the King of ages, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. 1 Timothy 1 verse 17. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us,
and we have seen his glory. Glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John 1:14.
It's called Proving God's Existence by Reasoning from Life. I'm going to post the links to both videos under this video. Again, that's Proving God's Existence by Reasoning from Life. And the other one is Exercise Faith in God.